So I think right now would be a good time to go ahead and go under the skin, track by track, lyrical analysis for Tragedy Eternal. Of course, I
Cool.
have every intention to do a necromantic under the skin session later in time after I've listened to the EP. That way I kind of understand at least the music side of what's going on. But let's go ahead and go under the skin of Tragedy Eternal real quick, starting with I think it's
The
geez.
Darkness Below,
The
the artist.
Darkness Below. Okay. So what do we got going on lyrically here, man?
Um, God, so The Darkness Below is kind of like a song about suicide, but it's sort of like a thematic song of sort of just letting go. And the song itself is about walking into a lake and just sort of drowning.
Oh,
Uh,
damn.
so um, the point of view of the song is someone who is sort of daydreaming through the woods, walking to the lake, and they've sort of accepted the end, and they're ready just to let go, and the water's really cold. And if you've got the lyrics up,
Let's see.
I think they should be on Genius, or they should be on our Spotify, or
Yes. Okay. It starts with the you're hanging by a thread, correct?
by what? Sorry.
The let's see. The Darkness Below. The lyrics start with you're hanging by a thread, correct?
No.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I think it's because I'm still over on Veil of Maya from earlier. Okay, so now, okay, on Spotify, it doesn't seem that you have the lyrics available. So I guess we'll go ahead and go to Genius real quick. That's fine. Draconian Rain. I should have had this pulled up while you were talking, but
Oh no, do not worry at all.
let's see the Darkness Below. Lyrics. Licorice. Uh, you got music match, I think. Okay, no. I don't think I'm finding it right now because I typed up everything, but it doesn't seem to be available.
Do not worry. Do not
So
worry.
we'll just go off a
So
quote.
so yeah. So the person whose point of view it is, they walk into the lake, they sort of daydream into the lake, and they're being, pulled below by the cold of the lake. It sort of pierces them and drags them down. And then the choruses are just them sort of falling to the bottom of the lake. So it goes, through the shadows I fall, to the numbness I long for. With my final breath, I shall savor the end, never to be found, never to be found again. That's the lyric. So they're all quite dark songs, really, but that's generally what that song's about. So sort of killing yourself by drowning.
Right.
I've
That,
also got my cat here.
oh, cat. We're having a cat on podcast. Let's go. Kitty. It's a black cat too. Let's go. Let's go. What's the name?
She's not very happy with me, so I'm gonna put it
That's
down.
awesome, man. So track two would be Before the Gates. What's going on here?
So Before the Gates is a sort of a story of two lovers who've been sort of divided by death. So one of them has passed away. The other one is sort of still sort of lingering around, sort of waiting for their own death. Um, so they're walking the graveyard, waiting for their own death so that they can be reunited. And it's really just about their sadness, and how they're basically waiting at the gates of death so that they can be reunited, but also, waiting at the gates of the graveyard. It's them being in the graveyard on their own, hearing the crows above, and sort of just the tragedy and sadness of it all, really. Yeah.
Yeah, the tragedy eternal that comes with separation between life and death, which it's interesting because there is a popular, very, very popular song by an artist called Yosabi. It's a Japanese pop song. I forgot how, let's see, Yaosabi, right? Okay, Yosobi. Um, Despite my learning of Japanese right now, I cannot translate or pronunciate the name. So good on me for participating in Duolingo, but not be able to fucking pronounce that. Very similar thing. It's very strange, lyrically speaking, and it talks about this woman who is suicidal, and she actually is falling in love with death. So she continues to attempt, per se. And it's very, very strange song, but it's funny because the meme behind it is like it's very catchy, it's very poppy, it sounds bright as hell, but the lyrical content is some of the most dismal shit you've ever heard of in Japanese pop songs. So
Yeah.
definitely
I
wanted
think
to.
those themes are just fucking everlasting. Like it's just epic. Like love and death is something everyone is going to feel, and sort of those sort of themes of love and death being intertwined. Again, it goes in with like the sort of British Gothic horror themes of Dracula and Frankenstein,
Right.
Frankenstein's bride, and the monster's bride, all that stuff. It all was the same sort of Victorian era literature that in England definitely we sort of studied that shit as kids. Obviously, we learned a lot about Shakespeare. Like you guys learn about the presents and shit. We learn about like Shakespeare
Yeah.
and British writers. So that's something that like was quite instilled in me as a kid. So it's sort of those epic themes that great epic fantasies are built on the same shit. Like that's really what inspired me to write that song. And the album cover, the EP cover, is sort of the same thing. Like it's sort of
Right.
like a sort of
Hello?
tragic, forbidden love between death and someone who's living.
No, that's actually really cool. I never, like, I don't know how I didn't piece that together. That's pretty easy to piece together, but now we have it confirmed.
Yeah.
Track 3 would be Infernal Requiem.
Yeah, so this one's just like a stupid deathcore song. No, this one's like, it's just about someone who's very like, they just want to watch the world burn, to quote the fucking Dark Knight. Like, it's just a sort of love letter to fire. Like, fire's fucking epic. Like, everyone thinks fire's cool as shit.
Yeah.
It's just a song about everything burning and everything being temporary, and fire is a fucking powerful element that erases things.
Yeah.
It can just erase you. Like you would never have been there.
And if you really like dig into it too, like fire is a great connection to that love and death thing.
Yeah.
Because fire can be like the fire burning in your soul, but also fire brings death. It brings life.
Yeah.
It's like one of the major elements that can indeed provide duality in the world. Like ice, you can be ice cold, but you can also be relaxed and cold. But the thing is, I would argue, though we have on planet Earth, I guess for any extraterrestrials who might fucking listen to this podcast, that's a stupid joke. Like none of the other elements, I would argue, bring as much life and death as fire does. So I mean, it also correlates with other.
We wouldn't be able to live without it.
Exactly.
Caveman shit. But also like it's got the sort of love story subtext to it as well. Like this person wants everything to burn, but he wants to burn as well. But he also is asking someone else to join him, and he's sort of saying, look, this world isn't permanent in this life. Like we're just gonna wilt and suffer. So like just join me in death. Like
exactly.
So it's another song like from the point of view of someone asking someone to join them in death. All the songs are generally about suicide or death or loss or love. Like
in the name of love. Yeah. Like
this sort of the theme of the whole thing is like, again with like going back to fucking Shakespeare and classic theatre, like it all comes from, comedies and tragedies. Like a tragedy is a classic form of storytelling. So
Right.
that's basically what I went for with this.
Fantastic. And track 4, the final track would be The Funeral. You said this was meant to be more of like a sad, slower one. And definitely is, utilizing that fire analogy and those fire themed elements. It's definitely a slow burn. And that's the first thing that I thought when I was listening to this earlier today, is that compared to the rest of the album, it is an outro track for sure.
Yeah.
And like there's no doubt about that. But it also is a slow burn. So what's going on here?
So musically, this was much more inspired by, the sort of late noughties symphonic black metal like Dark Fortress and the early Abigail Williams stuff. So we wanted to make, an effort to actually like sonically sound much more quote unquote black metal outside deathcore. It starts with a sort of piano intro. So Infernal Requiem actually has a part in the chorus where it is almost like a requiem at a funeral, a eulogy, where it's saying, okay, we're gathered here today to say goodbye. And then the last song is more about a funeral. Not as such about, the act of funeral, people going, gathering or anything like that, like the previous song. But, we've all had people that we've lost at the time of writing. This song is about someone who loses someone's suicide. So the intro of the song deals with someone's loved one or friend. It doesn't specify, being lost to suicide and being there at that moment, and then like them reminiscing on the night of when it happened, and
Right.
and then them dealing with the loss and them still having dreams about it, and
Yeah.
still not being able to let go of that.
The mourning process.
Yeah, it's just the mourning process. It's much less like, quote unquote metal. It's much more of a personal song. And yeah, I think like we've actually had a few DMs of people who've really connected with the lyrics, which is really nice. Like,
Good.
yeah, so it's much more personal song, and it's more of a sad song, I guess. But we wanted to write something a bit different, sort of end the EP.
Yeah, and after all, like you have to have something that sticks out in the album, and that's what I love is when bands and artists, they're prominently a metalcore band, they're prominently a death metal band or a deathcore band, whatever.
Yeah,
and it's always great when they have like softer, just strictly instrumental interludes, or for example, the intro, the outro, and then you have your interludes. One band specifically that I would name that has done that with every single album they've ever done would be Silent Planet. My favorite band of all time. Really good people too. They've been through a lot, and they are preparing to gear up for their next album cycle, which I'm so excited about, because there's a lot of like conspiracy theory elements and just like stuff that was going on during the writing process, and continuing from their last record back in 2021, Iridescent, that really just make it more of like a raw and kind of panicked album, but also it's like hard on your sleeve. Everything on your sleeve, just out in the open, no more secrets, that type of thing. And that's why I love musically about them, is that they either do research projects for their music, or they will just pluck and they will be provided stories by all their fans, lovers. That's what they call their fans, which is also really cool. Like they do a whole bunch of different shit, but with this next album, I'm really excited for the more like extraterrestrial conspiracy theory element that they plan to incorporate into the album, along with it being, I'm pretty sure it'll be like hella more genty, hella more heavy than any of their previous material. So that should also be fun. But kind of going back to Draconian Rain, because that's what we're talking about in session. Very, very awesome. And I think the only question I would have left, which more or less you've explained on multiple occasions whilst talking about these 4 tracks, is how you decided upon the EP name for Tragedy Eternal. Obviously, we don't have a title track, but that is the title of the EP.
Yeah.
So did you have any other commentary that you wanted to provide as far as why you decided Tragedy Eternal to be the title?
I think what we really wanted to do with this was to fucking write. What if My Chemical Romance wrote a fucking symphonic deathcore EP? You know, we wanted it to be sad. We wanted it to be dramatic. Like, if you look at the fucking EP cover, it looks like a deathcore version of a My Chemical Romance EP. Yeah, of Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge. You know, like James and I like really love that band, and we love how dramatic they are with the themes of like death and love and shit. So we just took, so, like, you know, very loose inspiration from that, and we just wanted it to be as sad as possible. Like, we just wanted that sort of quote unquote emo fucking vibe, even though that's not really music that, you know, I listen to particularly. I really like the flair for the dramatic and the personal connections that you can get with sad songs.
Yeah.
So it was more just like, okay, we want it to be sad. We've written a few songs. The word tragedy was cool. The word eternal was cool. So it was going to be called Eternal Tragedy. And then I was like, oh no, Tragedy Eternal, which is really fucking funny because like a month before EP came out, She Must Burn brought out a song called Misery Eternal. And I was like, ah, shit. Like, we're just going to have to bring it out anyway because we'd already got the merch printed and all that shit.
Exactly.
And then Nothing Nowhere, he brought out an album called like Void Eternal or something.
Yeah.
So like this all came out like, I think his came out just after ours or just before. So, but luckily like they hadn't used the word tragedy, and it was more just like it just sounded epic. It sounded sad. It had that sort of gothic vibe to it. That's just what we wanted to portray
Yes.
from these songs, from these stories. So it came to me whilst I was fucking going to the shop to buy some bread. And I was like, oh, tragedy. So I text James like, oh yeah, what do you think of this name? And he was like, yeah, that's cool.
Right.
Is that?
No,
Yeah.
fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And at the very least, like no jab to previous podcast attendees or previous artists that we've had. But like it's always great to at least hear even kind of like something more funny of a story behind how
Yeah.
the name was decided. You're like, oh yeah, I was just going to get bread. And I'm like, Tragedy Eternal. That's it. You know,
Yeah.
it's better than we just thought it was cool. Like we just thought it sounded cool. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
over time, I'm like, I wish there was more to it than that. But anyways, so that was Tragedy Eternal. That was the Under the Skin session. So future me, boop. And with that, we are very much near the end of our podcast session. Now, basically, all I'll be inquiring upon is any future plans over the rest of this year, really, because we only have 6 months left in 2023. Fantastic year so far. So what future plans do you guys have that you're able to disclose and able to discuss at this moment?
Well, we're going to be writing the album. That's the first thing. So we'll have a debut album out fairly soon. So that's the big one. So everything that people might like about it is going to be bigger, better. You know, we're going to have more money for production, value for videos, and you know, mix and stuff. So everything that we jumped from Necro, we're going to have another jump hopefully. We're playing UK Tech Fest, which is a festival in Nottinghamshire, our local county. And I mean, the bands playing that is like Chelsea Green, Kublai Khan, Aborted, Born of Osiris, you know. Then we're playing Fall in the Brawl in Manchester.
So sorry, I gotta pause real quick. I'll be right back. Sorry. All right. So you mentioned a festival. What else do you guys got going on?
We're playing another festival called Mangata Festival. That's in Nottingham, our hometown, with some really great, all the great bands, the local metal bands. Then we're playing Fall in the Brawl in Manchester. Those were some really heavy bands like Archangel and Acranius and bands like that. And then, shit, I should know this. Then we're looking to go on tour in November, but we haven't penciled it in yet, so that's a maybe.
Okay.
So I might only say that. All right, let's start again. And then we might be going on tour at another point later in the year. It's all just an idea at the moment, but you know, we're pushing some stuff out, and then a few more shows in the pipeline that we haven't announced yet. So yeah, hopefully some more good stuff. We just want to play more shows, get out there. We just got off tour. We played a little run last month, which was really fucking good. We sold out 2 of the shows. That was fucking awesome. Yeah, so yeah, things are going really good, man. And
fantastic,
yeah,
dude.
There'll be more
Awesome.
music soon.
More music soon, people. Pay attention to that. Yeah, and like, dude, that's the thing too with bands. Like, what I've learned is that behind the scenes, no matter what, as soon as they've gotten new material out, they're already starting on the new material, which I'm like, what the fuck? But
Yeah,
also, it makes sense
yeah,
because it's like you got to stay on that consistent grind. Otherwise, you're basically a room full of people on the couch looking at your phones, like, what do you want to do? Like the fucking birds from Jungle
yeah,
Book, right? He's like, what do you want to do? I
yeah,
don't know. What you want to do? Oh, don't start with that. Like, it's a,
yeah,
it's a whole
100%, man.
mechanic.
Like, you just got to strike while the iron is hot, man. Like, there are fucking thousands of bands. So everyone's got to be the hardest working one. Like, you got to play more shows than everyone else. You got to bring out more fucking music. Like, that's the only thing. Like, we're a tiny band. Like, everything's going quite well considering how new we are. And we've played Bloodstock. That was cool to like, a couple thousand people. But, in the grand scheme of things, we're fucking nobody yet. You know, like you just got to keep hammering.
Gotta
Like,
keep hammering, man.
like there are fucking tens of thousands of metal bands that are all fucking good enough to be, the next band.
Yeah.
That, only 100 of them are gonna fucking grind.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that I think is a great way to end. I don't even know what fucking episode number this is going to be because we have, I think, three or
Next one.
four. Yeah, the next one, exactly. Because we have plenty of podcast episodes in storage right now, and really we're just looking to get the podcast intros from the other vocalists. And if not, then basically I'll improvise something that allows both me and the other vocalist to collaborate. And I've done that before. So we'll get it figured out. We'll be getting more episodes to you guys here soon. Next band I think we'll be hosting is Heirs of Humanity, which is an Eastern United States slamming deathcore band. But I would argue that they're kind of like, yeah, they should. That
Lost your mic.
I hate.
Let's start from Errors of Humanity.
Yes, Heirs of Humanity. We got Heirs of Humanity. We got Surefire, which I'm excited to host them because they're, I don't know if you're familiar with Spite, but they kind of mix like that harder Spite deathcore with like metalcore. So that's yeah, really good combination. And then we'll be hosting Of the Betrayer, Cali based for sure, Black and Deathcore. They just got their new EP, Your Darkness Will Save You, out independently through Slam Worldwide. Yeah, really good name. And I'm excited for the near future as we kind of get back on the grind and try to get as many podcast episodes out to you guys as possible, including the ones again that we have in storage. But thank you again, James, for your time here on the Anatomy Crosscast, whatever episode number it ends up being. And I hope to host the entirety or the other members of Draconian Reign in the future. As
you don't want to talk to those guys, they're fucking boring.
Right. I'll keep that in mind.
I'm playing.
Right.
Sorry, guys, love you.
He's like, what the fuck, James? But yeah, we'll definitely be back. We'll have them back on the podcast once they are closer to unveiling or releasing their full length record in the future. And yeah, until next time, guys, keep on the grind, just like the great eternal music machine. Let's keep cranking, and we'll see you guys later.